Hello, this is Richard Wilson with a quick mandate update. I just want to share some of the deals I've been seeing. We've done some really interesting virtual investor discussion panels lately. We have 3 to 5 investors on each of them. And then we had sent out an email to our big list asking for deals that met certain criteria. And we had over 300 deals come in within about 7 business days after that. And it's taken us a while to sort through all those deals and email people back on the teasers and get more details. And it's just interesting to see the valuations on a lot of companies that are out there. We've seen $100 million valuations on a company with $900,000 in revenue. We saw a $50 million valuation on a company with $200,000 in revenue. Of course, the valuations are all based on future cash flows with those early stage companies. But, really hard to get my head around that because a lot of times they're projecting they're going to go from 500,000 in revenue to, 9 million and then to 30 million the next year. And I don't know many companies that make that type of a jump. Everyone's projections are super rosy. And many haven't adjusted their tune to the pandemic. So some of them are, like one pitch we got was for a $93 million retail center. And I said, well, have you adjusted this down since the pandemic? And they said, no, the owners are just trying to see what they can get done, but they're trying to get the same price they had before. And I said, well, they won't, and they're wasting your time as an intermediary because people are not sure how strong this force of gravity of the pandemic is, but it definitely is something. It's crushed a lot of retail businesses. So it's like my landlord in the past that were moving our office spaces. They just wanted us to renew our lease at the same rate we had before. And, it's not the same environment we were at before. So I think there's a lot of things changing, and those who don't respect that change or pivot to take advantage of it or don't have realistic valuations are not going to get deals done. I'm on the board of one company that was negotiating a term sheet on a deal. Then the pandemic hit. Now they have 11 term sheets versus the 1 or 2 they had before. All 11 are so substantially better, they wouldn't even consider the term sheet that they were negotiating 2 months ago. And they're going to the top 3 of those 11 to basically get the best deal possible done. And that's what's happening in today's environment. It doesn't matter if it's real estate. It doesn't matter if it's retail that's been crushed or not. Anyone raising capital, typically right now, unless you're really surging because of the pandemic, and even then, people are either skeptical that it might be short-lived or skeptical you're going to have a real business after the pandemic if it wasn't strong beforehand. Almost everyone's having a much harder time raising capital, and there's a great demand for capital right now. And so I just wanted to make sure everyone realizes that. From my perspective, it's very clear, but it's not clear enough to people who are emailing me to actually adjust what they're doing a lot of the time, and they're just not going to get anything done. It's just not going to be realistic to be effective right now if you don't respect that reality and change your tune and terms to match that. We're definitely seeing some really interesting deals. We've sourced some deals that are some companies doing 4 million, 10 million in revenue. 2 different ones that we're looking at right now, some subscription companies, some that soon will be profitable. We've also updated our privateequity.com investor portal. We're up to 117 investors registered there, and we've closed on 4 investment commitments during the pandemic. And typically, every 1 or 2 business days, we're getting a new registered investor on there. And we've made a tweak of basically making sure when people go to privateequity.com, if they are an investor, it's not for anyone raising capital or syndicating deals. It's only for investors looking to allocate into the best deal flow that we can bring them. What's interesting is that a lot of angel groups, angel clubs, they focus on startups, seed capital, pre-revenue, super risky, 1 out of 20, 15, 16 might lose all your money. Some might go sideways for a while and break even for you. And then they just count on that 1 out of 20 making money. That's how a lot of investor clubs are focused because they're angel investor clubs. And the Family Office Club is known for the community and the events, but having this privateequity.com portal for the investors as kind of the actionable place where investors can be engaging with some of the curated deal flow we've been able to bring has been fun to work on. And we just tweaked, our messaging on that yesterday, if you want to check that out, just to make it very clear, to investors. We don't have a cost to join. There's no obligation. We're not charging them anything on the base amount they invest. Even when they invest, there's no fee. It's only when it produces cash flow or profit, then we're just taking a small profit percentage on the upside. And that way it aligns us. If they lose money on one deal out of 4 they invest with us, then our fees go to 0 until they've made back all their money off of that investment across years and across deals. And we've really tried to design it to be as aligned as possible as kind of a virtual investor club. So we're excited about that. Seeing a lot of growth on the privateequity.com front. And then the last thing I'd say is just we've been having a ton of interactions going on with the webinars we do each week and then the virtual investor discussion panels. We're having typically per week about 1,300 participants or viewers live, and then after it's posted, viewed per week. About 1,300 people are digesting that content that we're putting out. So I definitely appreciate that. If you're someone who's been participating in the webinars, we love all the questions that are coming in during those. So if you are participating, we appreciate you thinking about questions that'd be helpful to others listening as well, and would just kind of make the conversation that much more dynamic. So I hope everyone's staying healthy out there. Thanks for keeping up with the Family Office Club. If you want to learn more about what we're all about, please go to familyoffices.com. Take care.